I said BaconBit. I'm just letting you guys know.
Is that what that was? I couldn't really tell.
I said BaconBit.
That makes more sense.
Good job.
So this is our BaconBit for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah. Spider-Man prom is coming up.
Spider-Man prom.
Yay!
Hey guys, you better just pick up the pace just a little bit because this is one of many shows we're recording tonight.
You're going to have to carry the pace on this one, I think, Kent, with the enthusiasm.
I'm just glad I got to saw the movie personally.
Yeah.
Because this was the one that Sam stole from out underneath me. This is the movie I was supposed to see with Kent hand in hand at the theater. And Sam, you took that away from me.
Do you like how he didn't apologize to Jake at all? Because Jake's like, I could take or leave Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but
Jake, well, that's every movie, though. Jake was like,
that's not every movie. It's not every movie.
He's like, I could go, I could not go. We'll still do a BaconBit.
So why did Sam get the ticket instead of you?
Because he won the role of listener on our 100th show.
Good job, Sam.
He got the rights to any screening he wanted, and he chose my #1 pick for most anticipated of the year.
Yeah, what a jerk, right?
Kind of, except for he was really nice about it.
He was really nice.
As much as I gave him a hard time online, because I did give him a hard time, he was actually very cool about it. And, we talked and hugged and everything's fine.
You did hug, actually.
Really?
No.
He actually was very polite. He followed every single one of my rules. We did have to sit right next to each other, which is breaking one of my
rules. Or the rules that we came up with on Twitter for you.
Yeah. Which rules?
Oh, not those rules. Those rules were awful.
They were
How
bad.
dare you?
I hope he followed those rules. Did he do anything?
Basically,
he offered to buy me food
when we
I rejected it.
No, I meant like from my rules or Joel's that added
Yes,
on.
the day before the screening or the day of the screening, we decided to give Sam some advice, and so Jacob started telling him everything he needed to do, every rule he needed to follow for Kent, and pretty much told him all the things that Kent hates.
Yes.
Thank you, by the way. It became this running stream of like Kent rules.
One of them was an inside joke of a thing I actually did.
Oh, yeah?
What did you do?
Which one do you think it is?
What have you done?
Follow him to the bathroom?
No, that was yours.
Slap me on the butt as I'm in the bathroom and say good game?
That's ridiculous.
You've done it.
Oh, my gosh, don't lie.
Not at a movie theater. That was at our place of work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Which none of us worked
Different
together
story.
at, probably for that reason.
No, I got chocolate-covered raisins, and I offered Kent some.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
It's gross.
But, okay, so let's get into the movie here. We're going to get into the first, 10 minutes are going to be spoiler-free. You can listen to this even if you haven't seen the movie. We will give a clear delineation when we're about to give plenty of spoilers because then we are going to spoil the webs out of this movie.
Oh, nice work. We planned that one. All right, who's going first? Not it.
Well, first, let's give the summary. You have to say not it because we always make you go first.
It's because Jacob's opinion's usually, if you liked it, then you're going to like it.
Jake,
but if you didn't like it, then you won't
That
like
was
it.
once. That was for
Can I get your
Star Wars.
Jake, can I get your IMDb pitch for Spider-Man Homecoming?
IMDb pitch.
Yes.
Spider-Man fights a construction worker and nearly dies.
That's not entirely fair. So Spider-Man is once again in high school. He's a freshman in high school, 15 years old, and he is trying to balance school life with the life of trying to be an Avenger.
Yeah.
He comes
Except
under
he's not an Avenger.
He wants to be an Avenger.
He wants to be an Avenger.
Yeah.
He comes under the wing of Tony Stark and decides this is what he wants and has to basically decide who is he in life. Does he want to follow the life of chasing girls or does he want to chase criminals? Fair?
That sounds weird.
Right?
There.
We've all been there, right?
For different reasons.
Well, and I also wanted to mention that this does build on the previous Marvel shared universe, meaning it makes references to Civil War and to Avengers and those types of movies. So, having those under your belt will give you a lot more enriched experience.
And you already know from the trailer, I mean, you as in the viewer or listener and viewer.
Who are you talking to right now?
What?
Which one of us are? Yes.
Not you two.
Okay.
That's the viewer. I'm the viewer.
You know, that Iron Man's in it and that, there's this whole sort of mentoring thing going on. And
so, Kent, you should probably go first only because Sam spoiled your review for me.
He did. He basically
he posted online and I saw that and went, I know what Kent thinks about the movie.
I actually was going to warn you today. So I'm going to read Sam's review first because we didn't invite him to the show tonight. We're sorry, Sam, but we love you.
Some of us are.
So, yeah, I thought you guys hugged. Anyway, so Sam says, and this is a spoiler-free review, I really wanted to love it, but I ended up only liking it. I feel like they changed too many little things about Spider-Man's story and characters. I hated his suit. It was too much like Iron Man's suit, where Spider-Man should be able to stand on his own. I felt like I'd seen the whole thing already because trailers give away too much these days. I like Tom Holland and I love Michael Keaton. Chris Evans steals every tiny scene he is in. Peter's buddy Ned is really funny, but again, you've already seen his best jokes in the trailer. I love Spider-Man and wanted this to be perfect for my inner child, but it didn't hit my admittedly high expectations. I'd grade it a B-. That was a little bit shorter than his iTunes review. I love you, Sam. He's getting so mad right now. Yeah. He's going to remove this from Facebook. Sam and I, we echo a lot, and I felt, look, even in retrospect, I feel really...
Are you going to say I am Sam right now?
I am Sam. I feel really terrible because while watching this movie, I tried not to ruin his mood at all. Like, I was sitting there like, open body, like, ha ha, ha ha.
Gross.
Well, you know, I wasn't...
With arms wide open.
Yeah, I wasn't crossing my arms going, oh, sure, Tony Stark. I was like, oh, yeah, high school jokes. And I was laughing so that he could have a better experience.
You were faking laughing in movie theaters.
No, actually, I was real laughing because a lot of the jokes really did work.
Okay.
This is the most funny Spider-Man movie there is. I'll say
the most.
Is that a backhanded compliment? I'm
no,
not sure.
I actually
I don't know because Kent hates humor.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but actually, and I've said this from the beginning. I think Spider-Man is the movie, other than like Deadpool, that should be funny because Spider-Man is a character.
He's quips.
Yes, quips, one-liners, right?
Yeah,
and that's okay because that's his character. I just think that was converted into Tony Stark and then everyone else. Sorry, I don't mean to get into the whole universe at this point.
Well, this movie is part of the universe.
Yeah, I do give this movie a B- as well.
Okay.
It's much the same. I do think that the whole mentor thing, the tie-in with Marvel for me was really tacked on, especially because Robert Downey Jr. phoned it in a lot. And there's a certain mentor, which we'll give away, yes, that it may be in the spoiler territory. I'll talk about who the bigger focus was on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
But I will say Michael Keaton was awesome as the villain. Mm-hmm. I loved him.
Oh, okay. So good villain.
Yeah, good villain. A lot of things worked. A lot of things didn't for me. B-.
B-.
All right.
That's pretty generous for me for a Marvel movie.
It is. That means he loved it.
All right. Jacob, go.
I'm next?
Yep.
All right. So here's...
Based on your IMDb review, I can only get a vibe for what you're thinking about this movie.
Well, no, actually, I don't think you will because I am so sick to death of Spider-Man because this is what, the fifth, installment in the last...
It's a sixth movie in the past...
Sixth, yeah.
Not including Civil War.
15 years.
Right. And so, like you guys mentioned earlier, right, that like no expectations. I've seen it a lot of times. So, if I've learned one thing about doing this is when you go with low expectations, it really, really helps the movie. Right. Mm-hmm. A lot. It's done it for me in several movies. And so I ended up enjoying it quite a bit. More so than I thought. However, there's certainly a few scruples. Like in the opening scene, I'm like, Spider-Man's villain is a construction foreman. Oh,
like a real middle-class American, right?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, dear. How will Spider-Man prevail against the construction foreman?
Hey, Electro was a janitor.
We're not mentioning any of that.
Yeah. And he's just a guy with like a wingsuit that's ridiculously cooler than anything him or his dudes could build. But anyway, I give it a B. Because I would actually give it higher if it was the first Spider-Man I ever saw.
Okay.
But because it's not, and I'm sick to death of Spider-Man, I think that they deserve some extra accolades for making it watchable, even though it's a total reboot of the franchise.
All right.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Joel? So B- for Kent.
Yes.
B from Jacob. Now my review.
Is he going to go above?
Yeah,
it'll be the thing.
Can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
B+. Oh, sorry. 4.5 stars. Do you go that high on a first time, or is it just 4 stars?
I love this movie, guys.
I know you did.
I absolutely loved this movie.
Yeah.
I went in there being like, okay, what I don't want to see a rehash of his origin story. Didn't happen.
Yeah, it's true.
I didn't want Tony Stark to overshadow everything that Spider-Man was doing. Didn't. It was great. The humor landed. I liked the characters. No one was too annoying. There were great stakes, like actual tension.
Like dinner?
Yeah.
No.
There were some things I didn't see coming. Because here's the other thing I was going to say about Sam's review is guess how many trailers I watched?
None.
1.
Oh, lucky you.
No, 2. I watched the teaser and then I watched trailer number 1, and that's how I do it. I watch trailer number 1. I don't watch any other trailers.
Good job.
Because I want to go in there.
Because it does give the whole story.
Well, I don't want the whole story, and I don't want all the jokes given away from Ned, because I thought he was actually a really, really funny character, and I really enjoyed him as kind of Peter's sidekick type. Mm-hmm. I was worried about the Aunt May thing, but as Marissa Tomei as the young Aunt May, but it worked for me
because they uglied her up.
Not really.
Yeah, they really tried to. They put some glasses
they?
On her to really ugly her up.
Yeah.
Except for everyone still loves her.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
It was weird because, it felt like they were working against themselves because they uglied her up a little bit, and then they kept referencing her being attractive.
Yeah.
So I didn't get it.
Because she can't hide.
Can't hide it.
But overall, I thought that this was exactly what I wanted it to be when I was anticipating it earlier in the year. This was a movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I welcome it with open arms, as Kent would say, or open body.
Full open body. Spread eagle. Joel.
What? But I really enjoyed it, and I had so much fun. And there are some things I could pick apart about it. Like I said, it kind of does depend on previous movies. You need to know a little bit, at least a little bit. I don't know if someone walking into this one without having seen Civil War or having seen Avengers would really get the full effect, or if they'd be confused. But
anybody watching this probably saw Civil War.
I had so much fun, and I laughed. Jacob, you saw me laugh a couple of times.
I caught him laughing a couple of times. Then you look over at me like, oh, crap.
Caught him.
Yeah, and that's usually when I go with you, I try to be all stoic. Maybe it's because I was sitting next to my brother. Hey, Mike, what's up? And sitting next to Jacob. And
Did Mike like it?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Well, no,
Mike likes everything.
We did talk about it. Yeah. He liked it, but we can get to that in other stuff.
Sure.
But, so, yeah, I give this an A-.
Wow. Okay.
This is a 4.5 stars.
I'm right in the middle again.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is, and I think we're all agreeing this is a good movie.
It's a good movie.
But this...
Better than expected.
I don't give 5 stars to movies. And I don't think this would get a 5-star from me, only because it was missing kind of an emotional moment. There wasn't any sort of...
Okay. Hold on to that. Hold on to that. Small
we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're ready?
Are we going to get into spoilers then?
And one other thing.
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel like this was true to both the franchise and the brand of Marvel, and yet kind of fresh?
I think he was true to Marvel, but I don't think it was true to Spider-Man the character. And I will get into that in spoiler territory.
All right.
Go for it.
Or as I like to call it, Spoiler Land goes wherever a spoiler can. Good?
Wow, that was good.
Okay.
Yeah, so now we're
Spoiler Land.
11 minutes in. That's how long we went. Okay.
So for me, I really have to ding it. It is a fun movie, and I appreciate the fact that it's fun and that the jokes work better for me than most Marvel movies do.
There was less jokes than Guardians 2.
Oh, thank goodness, right?
Yeah. And there was only like 1/3 of the amount of jokes, which is still a lot of jokes.
Right.
There's a lot of jokes.
But for me, kind of like you were saying, there were no actual emotional stakes, and this is my main problem. Which I'll try not to harp on too much.
I'd say there were stakes, but there wasn't, like for me, there was no Uncle Ben getting killed moment or Gwen Stacy getting killed
and we
moment.
Don't look, the Gwen Stacy thing for me worked. The Uncle Ben for the second time in the Amazing movie did not.
No, and I'm not talking about the Uncle Ben one in that one. I'm actually talking about Uncle Ben from the original Spider-Man 2002.
Right.
That was hard.
It was really hard. But for me, the character of Spider-Man, there is a lot riding on his back. There's this moral crisis throughout every movie because that's the kind of character he is.
Right.
He always feels the responsibility.
That's true. That wasn't
this
there at
one.
all.
He just wants to play with the big boys. And that's kind of a big problem for me is I was like, cool. He has a super suit that is basically, he's Iron Lad in this movie. And that was my problem.
Except for, I would counterpoint that by saying that I think that this is the precursor to him becoming that moral center. Instead of having Uncle Ben's words echo in his head about with great power come great responsibility.
But that's the character, though.
It is. And this is kind of, if you can, this is James Bond in Casino Royale. This is like the precursor to him becoming that type of Spider-Man. So I think in the next movie,
hope so, but it's also giving it too much credit before it's earned it.
I'm going to give a lot of credit because I think they did a great job of not rehashing. I mean,
they did.
To me, this
it's a
wonderful
continuation
precedent
without showing the origin there.
I think this shows a wonderful sets a wonderful precedent for future movies, future superhero movies, reboots, to not have to show the same origin story.
And they didn't play up the high school bit too much. Like they did, like the strong retro like nostalgia vibe was there.
Which loved that.
I had a problem with it.
What?
For me, it's like, guys, we've seen John Hughes movies. Do you really have to show Ferris Bueller as you're playing Ferris Bueller?
Loved that.
It's 35 years old at this point.
I know. And
like there's other high school comedies out there, or just original high school material.
Wait, it didn't even look real though, because like they showed like the homecoming banner and like how they're dressed and the way the party's decorated. It feels like a movie out of the 80s suddenly. That
it was an 80s theme.
Oh, was it an 80s theme?
Yeah,
well, that would make more sense. Anyway, but I mean, like, there's a whole vibe, the whole movie though.
And I have another scruple as well, if I may. I don't like high school Spider-Man. I understand why Tobey was in high school because they had to introduce the character and there was growth there, and then he didn't. The second movie wasn't there. Andrew Garfield was way too old for the role for the high school character. I'm going factoid here. Out of 700 issues of Spider-Man in all of his history, there have only been 30 issues where Spider-Man has been a teenager. Why do we keep having to see Peter Parker as a teenager? It actually kind of gets on my nerves.
It's when they keep rebooting it, they feel like they need to start there. But like I said, I feel like this one took a step forward in the reboot. And hopefully down the road, we won't have to see Batman's parents die. Thomas and Martha. Oh my gosh, her name was Martha. That's the same name as Superman's mom's name.
Yep. That changes everything.
What? Okay, so getting into Michael Keaton, I don't know if this was spoiled or not. And this is a spoiler, so we're already in spoiler territory, but I want to bring that up again. I had no clue he was going to end up being Liz's dad. No clue. When he opened that door and I saw Michael Keaton there, I went, wait, are you kidding me? Like, that to me was good because I was surprised, and it brought tension to the character because he can't just go kill a bad guy. He's now got an emotional connection to
Did you see it coming, Kent?
I did. But that's okay. I still
Is
love...
that because you had a spoiler?
No, it's because, well, he kept saying my family and, I got to go here. And he kept alluding to having to go back.
I kept waiting for that too. But
it was still funny. It was a fun reveal.
But the thing is, he kept talking about his wife. Like, I kept hearing about his wife. I didn't know did he mention it?
There had to be a tie because the story wasn't big enough that it wasn't world ending. So it had to be really small and emotional.
Yeah.
And it had to affect Peter personally.
Which I think it worked.
I knew it would happen.
I think it worked. And I think Michael Keaton's a good bad guy. He's a good villain because... Yes. His motivations is that he feels like he was wronged and he feels like he's doing right. That's a good villain.
But in the 5-minute car ride, him finding out that he's Spider-Man was pretty contrived.
No. Speaking of contrived,
that was great.
She's going to high school, or they're going to high school together.
Yeah.
They're in a team together, and he's never seen her parents before.
Right. And they've seen her mom together.
No, he's seen her mom.
Had he?
Oh, yeah, because she was around in a couple of their scenes. But that makes total sense to me that my kids would know the moms of all the other kids, but not me because I'm never there.
And you almost have to give this movie a pass because I don't think this movie is made for people like us. Although people like us,
it's true.
I'm saying grown-ups will like it. I think this is a young adult movie with young adult logic.
Yeah.
And in that way,
except for the nostalgia play, which they like.
Well, yeah.
That's the fun for that.
You can't escape that because then they're saying it's a John Hughes.
And I'm going to disagree with you one more time on the car ride because to me that was
it was written as well as it could be. I think.
I think that was perfect because all he was hearing was his voice over and over, and he's just like, it sounds really familiar, and he was trying to make the connection. And then when they said you weren't there, but you were in Washington when he appeared, you were here when he appeared. I like how he's not stupid, how no one's getting the wool pulled over their eyes. There was another movie that didn't something do that recently where they basically figured, you liked Man of Steel, how she figured it out that he's Superman.
Oh, right.
And you were like, I like that because then
she's a journalist.
Yeah.
Pulitzer Prize winner. Yes.
But, and
Not a construction foreman.
I kind of liked how he figured it out and I liked.
Now you're on the board.
I'm on the board now.
But I like that scene, like when they're talking to each other. And I was like, that's a good tense scene.
Here's what the movie did well. I've watched 2 seasons now of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they spent that entire time looking for artifacts from the fallout of the Avengers movie, right? Mm-hmm. And the show is terrible. In this movie, they did the same thing, but they did it well. They're like, here's some artifacts, and everyone's like, I guess I suddenly care about the fallout from the Avengers movie.
And I liked that. I like how they tied it in, how it's like, hey, we're bringing in all these other movies into this movie. It kind of felt like a capstone project almost. And I think they did right by Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man...
I totally disagree.
I think Spider-Man... okay.
Dude, Tom Holland, drone. He had a bee drone follow him. He had female Jarvis in his head. That is not Spider-Man.
Do you know who that was, by the way?
Who was it?
Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, is it really?
Paul Bettany is Jarvis, and then Jennifer Connelly, his wife, is...
I was going to say, aren't they married?
Is Karen. You mean Betty Ross? What? From the first Hulk movie?
Yes.
What? But I thought that was kind of lame because for me, Spider-Man is all about the discovery of being this kid and finding these powers and using them with responsibility. He really did become a Tony Stark's lackey or Happy Hogan's lackey. I thought that was kind of tacky.
How they
tacky lackey. That Happy Hogan was like the main star in this movie.
Well, he was like a buffer there, and I think it's just because they didn't have the budget.
It's like using Don Cheadle. Like Don Cheadle's your go-to guy.
It kind of is. But I do feel like it worked because Happy was this buffer between him and Tony. So when Tony showed up, they didn't overuse Tony.
Yeah, it makes it real, though. It's not like Tony's going to be on call for him all the time, you know?
In future Spider-Man movies, would you like to see the connection continue? As they're saying it will happen for one more movie in the MCU. Or would you like to see Spider-Man, like you said, become his own character, realize that not just, I can have powers without my suit, realize that with great power comes great responsibility? Like, would you like to see that growth?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'd love to see him. And Ken, you know I've said this before.
Right.
I like to see superheroes enjoying being superheroes.
And Spider-Man should.
And they did. And they enjoyed it here. And I really like that. And I'd like to see more of that as he grows up. They didn't really go into the Spider-Sense thing a lot, which was weird.
It totally left it out, actually.
And
yeah, that's true.
To the point where when they had the suit, I'm like, is this supposed to replace it? And I was kind of confused.
It didn't really seem like he had spider powers other than the fact that he was strong and he could hold on to walls.
Yeah,
that's kind of it. And then he was kind of Iron Lad.
Did you shoot venom out of your mouth? There's fun stuff like that. The man in the chair. I love that bit. That was actually that was a good payoff.
How did you like the opening video?
Opening video.
His viral video.
That. Yeah. I loved that. I loved when it showed like the behind the scenes of the Civil War stuff. Mm-hmm. I got such a kick out of that because it was just a fun take to give a quick, instead of like narrating like here's what happened, it was like, hey, here's a fun recap of what went on in Civil War.
So can I ask each of you if this is the best Spider-Man movie?
You can.
Are you going to answer or do you need time still?
I'm not going to answer.
No, I my brother and I talked about this in the parking lot. I still got to give the original its due.
Oh, you like one more than two?
Well, I just mean in that regard. In the original series.
Sure. Okay, great.
And, we can get this into our next show, into our Monday show.
Okay.
But I do think this is up there as one of my favorites. Not the most, but up there.
What about you? Where's it land?
I will say this in the other show as well, but it's maybe fourth.
Maybe
fourth out of sixth.
I'll give it third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, Jacob, what about you?
I don't know. I haven't watched.
You've got Spider-Man fatigue.
It's years.
And Spider-Man Underoos. They look very nice on you.
Thanks. Yeah, I gotta be in costume for a recording.
Did you notice the colors I'm wearing tonight?
I love them. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been too long since I saw the Tobey Maguire ones, and I don't know.
Okay. Oh, and one more thing I just want to mention is I felt like this movie, it was a kind of a coming together. Like it felt like a united effort, and how they would bring in, like with Ant-Man, for example, they could spring for the Falcon, and that's it.
I hated that.
And
that was
but
so
in this
tacky.
movie, you had Captain America, you had Pepper Potts, you had Iron Man.
Yeah, she's back. Apparently,
Why bring her back?
They bring her back for Spider-Man.
No,
I saw her. It was kind of like, oh, nice. They brought her in. Like it was kind of like, oh, they were all working together.
She's not even supposed to be acting anymore. Like she owns her own business and stuff. Like
Goop.
Yeah, that's it. It's
Let's talk about
ridiculous.
Goop, baby.
Ridiculous.
But I thought this was a good. This is what I wanted. Like I hate when the studio is like, we own the rights to this character and you own the rights to that character. So we're not going to let you.
wanted a
character.
collaboration,
and
this way.
This felt like a good handshake between Sony and Marvel, and being like, okay, we can work together here.
But you often bring up the fact that you don't care for the tie-in. And this movie was so tied in to maybe 4 other movies you need to watch before this one.
Yeah.
Like, don't you see a flaw there? Because I sure do.
Oh, no, there is a flaw there. And I want to know if any of you watch this movie without watching the previous ones, if it makes enough sense. Because sure, you can catch up and say, okay, I guess
everyone's
there's
seen them,
technology.
though. That's the idea.
Yeah, maybe. I know my kids have, and so I'm like, okay, they've seen Avengers and Civil War, which I think are pretty much the only. The problem with Civil War, though, is Civil War comes with a lot of baggage up behind it too. Like you have to have seen The Winter Soldier. So basically, you have to have seen
15 other movies.
No. Really, I think all you need to see is the Avengers, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Civil War, and then you get ready for this movie.
And 3 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, I for sure. Any of those.
Yeah. And there's a Ned prequel as well, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You know what I also like too is
A couple
how
episodes of Green Arrow.
it gives us. Oh gosh, like, it also gives us the perspective of like the lower ranked heroes instead of like it's always like the high scale top tier heroes, and this is like okay, they're kind of building their world a little bit more with this.
Yeah. And I
Wait, with who? Who's the
With
lower
Spider-Man.
scale? Spider-Man is the top tier hero. He is the top tier hero.
Not in this world.
He is Marvel's. Don't get anyone wrong here. Marvel wants him. Marvel needs him as their flagship.
No, I'm saying
as,
in the world that like in the Marvel world, like in this universe, in the
You're saying
the theatrical
a
universe,
new generation of hero coming up.
Yeah, no. Like he's taking care of like the local layer stuff. He's not taking on world fights. Like the first Spider-Man movie didn't have him fighting aliens from space that want to destroy the Earth.
Because I can promise you this: as Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans leave their contracts,
they're going to want him.
They're going to want Tom Holland and Benedict Cumberbatch to take over as the leads for this franchise.
Doctor Strange, you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a new Robert Downey Jr. You watched the movie.
I did.
Anyways, Spider-Man.
A lot of fun.
Pretty decent
and stick around to the end. I think the stinger was funny enough that I kind of went, oh, you got me.
It was probably the best Marvel stinger ever made.
But
I'm calling it right now.
But
because it teases you.
It does, but it's also kind of like a payoff for all the previous ones that you've had to sit and wait for.
All the terrible previous stingers.
Yeah, because it's kind of this, it feels like a Ferris Bueller's Day Off ending when he comes out and he's like, it's over, go home, kind of a thing, where it's like, well done. Right. So
maybe stolen a little bit from Deadpool, but that's another story. Did you see the Deadpool one?
Yeah.
And he copied the Ferris Bueller one.
I was going to say,
exactly.
He copies Ferris Bueller. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was great, and I'm going to give it my A- and be very, very happy with it. It's going to show up as a 5-star when I put it on Facebook, just because it's at 4.5.
I'll try not to get mad at you because I know it does round up.
Yeah, and I never give something 5 stars on first viewing. Maybe subsequent viewings, but I don't think it's going to go.
This could drop for me because I'm never going to run out and see it again. But I will Redbox it when it comes out, and I would recommend it to be a really, really strong Redbox watch.
I'm excited to show it to my kids.
Yeah, it's a kids movie.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
It is. They were careful about that, actually.
Kind of careful
at times.
When the last line of the movie is a cut off F word.
Oh yeah,
edgy.
At first, I thought it was like, oh, that's tacky. It's
I laughed at it. I shouldn't laugh at that, but it made me laugh. So,
all right, Spider-Man: Homecoming. There you go.
I'm testing this microphone.